Good evening, everyone. My name is Jonathan, and this is Northern Tactics Today. I'm joined by the Conservative MP Ulrights Gone. Good evening, Ulright.
Good evening.
Ulright, there's been a scandal recently in relation to sexually inappropriate behaviour in a past workplace of yours, specifically in relation to...
Oh, that. Look, it wasn't me who was watching a porn video on a phone in the parliamentary chamber. It was another guy. I only sent him the video. It's not my fault if he was stupid enough to watch it next to a big mouth female MP.
I was actually referring to your time working for Blizzard throughout 2018 to 2021.
Oh, that's got out, has it?
Yes, it has. You find that concerning?
Well, I won't lie. It looks bad. It was only a matter of time before it got out of the 1922 committee's safe or the Sun safe. But it is very important that we understand the full situation and come to the conclusion that I had nothing to do with it and nothing bad really happened.
So the Conservative Party was aware that you had worked for Blizzard during these events as you were serving as a Member of Parliament?
Yes, it was the reason why I was selected. But since Johnson knew about it, I wasn't put in a high position like Chris Pincher. But I was allowed into Johnson's inner circle and I'm on the waiting list to buy a House of Lords position, but we're a few heads of the Treasury position away from that. Also, my brother isn't that much of a pedophile yet, which, yeah, you know.
Well, during Bobby Kotick's reign as CEO, 20% of Activision Blizzard staff claimed to have experienced sexual harassment and unequal pay, in addition to presenting a strong case for a toxic work culture in the office.
I never saw anything like that. It was a very healthy, productive, and fair work environment. Also, keep in mind, America has a different culture, and as the Fourth Amendment declares, bitches get stitches.
Right. So would you care to explain what cube crawlies are, and why we have a leaked WhatsApp group chat image wherein you claim to have achieved the most of these in 24 hours?
Those were
But
innocent office jokes that a few women overreacted to. Also, you've got to understand, we had that need of exercise because it affected our health. Our doctor recommended about an hour a day, and considering the workload, we were left with no choice but to somehow introduce something in the work environment because the workload was so much it wouldn't allow us to do anything else about it. Health comes first.
victims define them as male colleagues under the influence of large amounts of alcohol, crawling through the cubicles and harassing female employees with inappropriate behaviour.
Victims? You mean Twitter warriors? It was just good natured fun and they were just oversensitive. As I said, these events were primarily to make sure we get to work out. If alcohol was served, that was purely to surpass our PB in sets.
The California Department of Fair Employment and Housing would disagree as they filed a lawsuit. Furthermore, after a 2-year investigation, Bloomberg declared it a frat boy culture. Women were passed over for promotions in case they became pregnant, and accusations emerged of a suicide caused by images of the victim being distributed at an office party.
Excuse you? Did you just call me fat?
Frat, not fat. I'm referring to the frat boy culture and the lawsuits filed by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing. Also, the suicide case and the cases where women who became pregnant were passed over for promotion.
All I can say is that we are sickened by the reprehensible conduct of the DFEH to drag into the complaint the tragic suicide of an employee whose passing has no bearing whatsoever in this case, and with no regard to her grieving family.
The official company line. Okay, but going back to the women being overlooked for promotion for becoming pregnant, breast milk being stolen while being kept in fridges, and the accusation that Bobby Kotick threatened to kill his assistant. This was light-hearted fun?
Are you an interviewer or a Twitter warrior? Please. Look, the feminists and worktards can whine all they want. They just overreacted to jokes. You could learn a thing or two from Lauren Chen. Most of them probably haven't even worked a day in their life. Also, Many male employees complain about sexual harassment. The feminists didn't complain about that, did they? You know what I call that? Double standards.
Actually, many of the female victims and the DFEH did comment on that. Do you think it's wise to conflate the culture war with what seems to be a genuine toxic work environment? 1,000 employees signed a letter calling Blizzard out and were demanding for the removal of the CEO, as well as over 100 staff walking out.
More feminists acting out on blatant military trade unionism. That is, if we allowed them to be in a trade union. You can pretty much compare that to any other TikTok, that's the one. You can compare it to any other TikTok trend.
Do you not feel with some of Liz Truss's rhetoric, or indeed Rishi Sunak's rhetoric, that similar exploitation could become more rampant in the UK?
I'm neither here to discuss British government policy today, nor the advice I'm giving to the Truss government. I'm here to talk about Blizzard.
Very well. This is a photograph of you in the Cosby Street with Alex Orisi-Ali, Tory Stricken and Jesse McCree, the latter two who were actually fired for their involvement in creating this toxic environment. Do you really maintain that this behaviour wasn't encouraged?
Of course not. If they were these shenanigans in the street, I didn't know about them. And these two were fired eventually. They were not celebrated at all in the company, and they certainly were not rewarded within the company.
Well, I would disagree. The in-game content, for example, seems to have been changed to remove these individuals. Jesse McCree had a character in Overwatch named after him, and it would seem like Blizzard tried to pander to the extreme left of the culture war by changing things in-game that they defined as racist. Surely the staying silent on issue whilst conflating the culture war with a genuinely toxic work environment can be seen as an underwhelming response, as well as an attempt to take no real action.
They got an $18 million settlement. What more do they want? We even had to throw away the the workout equipment.
Some call that a slap in the face, as the company is worth $72 billion. Do you not feel like Blizzard lost a lot of support from within the company, and also externally of the company because of this attitude?
No one believes all of this culture war stuff. Also, Twitter is not real people.
Streamers stopped playing your games. Websites like Gamer, Primer Games, and Games Explain ceased all coverage of Blizzard titles. There was also opposition's walkouts. Overwatch director Jeff Kaplan, Jaco Sonny, Diablo 4 director Louis Barriga, GDOC co-head Jen O'Neill, all left. These would certainly constitute some opposition walkouts that harmed the company.
Whiners who wanted more money. We cooperated fully with investigations, and I have yet to see any wrongdoing that was part of company culture, and we were honest throughout the affair.
So why did the Securities and Exchange Commission launch an investigation focusing on the possibility of your destroying evidence and lying to investors?
Because the media had completely misled the public about the nature of these events.
They didn't though, did they? There was genuine reporting of witness accounts of Alex Afriabi frequently telling women he wanted to marry them and constantly trying to kiss them among other things, resulting in him having to be frequently pulled off of the female staff.
I find this very hypocritical. No one complains when Biden holds on to women for abnormally long periods of time. Clear bias of the press. You should work for the BBC or the CNN.
Is that why Kotick tried to buy media outlets in what was seen as an attempt to control the narrative, and tried to purchase TO Media, The Onion, Kotaku, Gizmodo, PC Gamer, Edge, and Games Radar?
I'm not in the man's head. I was only brought in to help the company with labor issues.
What labour problems specifically?
I was just brought in with Brian Bolato to resolve some relation issues.
Trump's former undersecretary?
Yes?
Reports suggest that both you and he were hired to prevent Blizzard workers from unionising. When the sentiment grew popular after the sexism scandals, Politano, having previously worked with Amazon and other companies when they were preventing unionisation, Politano himself sent an email saying it was in workers' best interest to not unionise. As a serving MP at the time, was this not a breach of parliamentary regulations in respect to having a second job, and is it not questionable for an MP to union bust privately on the side?
I was just an advisor. Much like in the way I've been giving advice to Liz Truss on how to handle militant unions, they must be stopped everywhere, and Brian was a saint.
Very well. Lastly, why were you silent during the leadership race?
I was specifically told to not publicly link myself with any of the candidates. The 1922 committee have said I'm more toxic. I'm more toxic than Mikkel Gove.
Thank you for your time, Ulrights Gone.